Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of mine. This time I'm back with Heaven's Secret 2, Season 2, Episode 6. I just finished the last episode and I have to know. I need to see MALBONTE more. I need to see War. I need to see Astaroth. We only saw Christopher last episode and I need to see them. I need to see them, okay? It's necessary for my soul. So, let's just see. The fourth horseman will come to take what's left. He's just gonna take our souls. If you came face to face with death, what would you say if you knew it was inevitable? You can't say anything if it's inevitable. What would you ask? For it to be torrential. And honestly, at this point, I don't know about you guys. I don't know what would be worse. Being killed by someone I love, or being killed by someone that needed my death out of joy. They needed our death for their gain. Episode 6, Death. The horseman of death stopped as he saw several unclaimed attempt to come meet him. At the sight of him, the horrified unclaimed threw themselves at his feet observantly. The horseman looked at them with such contempt that it might destroy the poor immortals all on its own. What kind of freaks are these? Are they human ones? Yes. The unclaimed began to stammer, not lifting their heads. Death waved his hand as if brushing off some dust, and they convulsed and fell to the ground, no longer making a sound, moving, or breathing. He did not have to be like that. Killed them with one casual gesture. I covered my mouth with my hand. Sifa, this is very bad. Very bad. With a couple V, Hunger slowly walked out into the yacht holding a smoldering cigarette as usual. He looked at his brother with calm indifference. Everything about him made it clear that he was unfamiliar with fear, affection, and admiration. But Blake knew all of those feelings firsthand and burned with hatred for the horsemen that forced her to experience them. Ha. She trembled with stifled rage, bit her lips, and gave Death a look of murderous resignation that promised she'd stab him in the back when the opportunity presented itself. At this point, we can't expect for the horsemen to kill each other if they get on each other's nerves, because they all seem to despise each other and none of them have respect for one another. So, the first opportunity that comes by, they will use it to kill each other. I'm just saying. War watched Blake with faint amusement, seeing how easily she succumbed to his influence. War, what happened to my sweet child? How readily she surrendered to hatred in the presence of their older brother. War. From one side, I find that very attractive, and from the other side, war. You did not have to be like that. Death opened his mouth, and the other horseman tensed slightly, ready to listen to what he was about to say. They just set me free. It seemed that he was speaking into the void, into the darkness of the path ahead, but suddenly MALBONTE stepped out of it, fearlessly meeting the horseman's gaze. Yes. I didn't expect you to survive. My arrival must have been hard on you. MALBONTE didn't answer and disappeared just as quietly as he appeared, realizing that he was no longer needed. Death turned to Hunger and asked, What about you, Liberator? I remember that they usually die too. Weaklings. See? We die. People, we will die. Well, it was nice knowing ya. A frightening smile slowly crept across his face, making him look even more menacing. But Hunger replied calmly, as if he didn't notice the deadly aura surrounding that smiling monster. The morals took him away. I think he survived. I see. Staying to watch them would only become more dangerous. I risked being discovered. But when would I have another opportunity like this? What should I do? Say, listen. At this point, flying away, let's be real, is the more dangerous option. Because if you fly, they can see you. How are you gonna fly on the ground? You will have to rise above and they will hear you. They were busy with each other and my energy was weaker than a flickering light bulb that might go out at any moment. I was like a ghost in that scene, one whose presence or absence would hardly be noticed by those present. Blake cautiously approached Death and said, They've plugged the earth into complete chaos. Some mortals are terrified. The horseman turned to his sister, his upper lip trembling slightly as it lifted, revealing a row of straight white teeth that were ready to rip her throat out any second.
But you barely touched heaven and hell.
We have subjugated the main cities. What do we care about the lower-ranking angels and demons? They work the land, live in the forest, are prey to the rivers and mountains. What is there to take from them? There are no worthy opponents among them.
They are the descendants of the firstborn. Why aren't their heads on spikes?
I can lay a path of corpses before you. Is that not enough? Blake's lips began to quiver with anger and resentment. Death only chuckled despairingly.
You were supposed to cover half the world in corpses. I always have to finish the job for you.
I did everything that was required of me and more. Death laughed at her. Oh wow, the relationship really is ice cold.
I'm tired of your upstart. Get out of here. The game's over, and the mother of life is waiting for me to finish the job.
Blake was burning with anger but didn't answer. She silently watched the figure she hated disappear into the academy halls. Hunger turned, intending to leave. War also hurried to go. Why do you tolerate him? You worthless sheep. War.
Calm down, sis. This is why Death talks to you that way. He won't let you even think about taking his place.
Hunger didn't say anything. He gave a short laugh and left without looking back. He just does not care. His time is over. Mother must see, must understand. War looked worriedly at his sister.
Stop it, Blake. Otherwise she'll decide you're defective. She won't understand your feelings.
Shut up. I love the fact that Alice is like trying to show that they all have insecurities. They are covering their nature under insecurities. They are insecure and they don't know what to do with themselves. War nodded and headed back to the academy, leaving the horsewoman alone with her grief. Blake screamed furiously after him and soared into the sky like a rocket, away from the horsemen, away from the academy, away from all those immortals. I would have liked to talk to War. I was expecting anything but not this. Strength, period. There was nothing else to see. Forewarned is forearmed. You saw a private scene unfold between the horsemen. There was nothing else to see, and it had become too risky to stay. I quietly backed away around at the corner of the school and took off. The night hid her guests beneath a shroud of darkness, and I managed to go unnoticed. At least that's what I thought. War! Okay, I'm sorry. First, I needed to fly as far away from the academy as possible. Far enough that the auras of the horsemen would stop having an effect on me. Far enough to feel relatively safe. I need to make sure the order doesn't storm the academy. I have to get to them before they try to get me out. Trying to save me would be a mistake anyway. They're surely preparing for an assault. I hope they're nearby. I don't know the way. Yeah, it would be a mistake. They probably didn't even try. They've just been waiting. That's what I would do. The air aloft was cool, pleasantly tousling my hair and tickling my neck. My powerful wings sliced through the clouds, moving with the gusts of wind or subduing them as needed. Who followed us? Who saw us? I'd almost calmed down and let myself believe I escaped when I heard a rapidly approaching whistle coming from behind. I turned around. A dark figure whose powerful wings were stretched to their full extent was chasing me and about to catch up. Damn! I accelerated as much as I could. I flew ahead at full speed, barely noticing the direction. An island loomed ahead, the clouds covering it like fog. There was nothing to do but descend. In the open sky I was easy prey. I wasn't fast enough to escape the chase. I glanced back again, only to realize that, to my horror, my pursuer wasn't far behind. But it turned out to be a fatal mistake. I failed to notice a small stone floating above the island like a satellite. She can't do anything. I crashed into it with such force that I instantly lost consciousness. As I passed out, I felt the weightlessness of my fall. That very feeling of lightness that came before the air resistance, the fear of landing, and the realization that there's trouble. She can't do shit, people. She can't do shit. She literally flew away and she flew into a small boulder and lost consciousness. This woman can't do anything. When I came to my senses, I didn't immediately open my eyes, but began to take in the sensations and sounds. I was lying on the ground. It was damp and cold, but my face was burning. I heard the crackling of a fire, and the heat emanating from it warmed my formerly unconscious body. Then I decided to open my eyes. Who is it? It's War! It has to be War! I recognize this place! First I noticed the clothes neatly folded at my side. Considering that I was wearing lightweight clothing that had torn during the fall and now looked like rags that barely covered my chest, I immediately reached for them. But I paused, looking around in search of the one who lit the fire. It was quiet. It seemed that my pursuer had abandoned me. I hastily pulled on some clothes before he could return. Refugee. Ooh, fugitive. Traveler. All of them. I like this. I love to dress lightly. No, step at this one. I smoothed my tousled hair. That was such a cute... I have to. A branch crackled, and as if waking from a dream, I felt a wave of familiar energy. It surged so abruptly and unexpectedly that I felt unwell, and my head began to spin again. I jumped up with relief and shouted into the darkness, noticing with displeasure how pitiful my voice sounded. Malbonte? Wait, what? He pushed aside the branches that hid him and stepped into the light. He was holding several dry sticks. Malbonte saw us and followed us.
You have no control over your body when you're unconscious. You can't even keep yourself warm.
My apologies, master. I looked at the kindling again. He made a fire to keep me warm. That's so cute. Thank you. He took a step toward me. I wrapped my arms around his waist and leaned into his chest, feeling myself shivering, either from the cold that took hold of me again or from excitement. It's excitement, let's be real. Malbonte stepped back, tossed the logs into the fire, and thoughtfully watching as the flames devoured them, said,
I need you to give something to the order.
Uh-oh. What? Malbonte took an empty vial out of his pocket.
Give it to Rivelius. Tell him I ran out.
What is this? Malbonte put the vial into my palm and gently folded my hand into a fist.
Revelius has prepared an addictive ingredient. I mixed it with my blood soaked in the darkness of Sifamalum's dungeon. This allows me at least a little control over plague.
Wait, what? What? Wait. Technically, he's drugging her.
In her right mind, she would have gotten rid of me long ago. I pose a threat to her. She doesn't tolerate competitors, even if they are weak than her.
Malbonte's being honest with you. Malbonte!
I don't know where the order of resistance is. Let it stay that way.
Malbonte! No, come with me! Come with me! We can keep each other safe. People, I know that he has to stay there, but I don't wanna.
But I need this ingredient.
Fine. Malbonte's eyebrows suddenly creased above the bridge of his nose. He looked at me even more attentively than usual. What? I felt embarrassed, got confused. Didn't want him to look at me. Bitch, are you for real? I felt embarrassed. You like Malbonte's attention? That.
I don't feel your energy at all.
I don't have any energy anymore. That since plague took your power from me.
No, that's not it.
Huh? Malbonte turned away, returning his attention to the fire. What? I'm already controlling my body temperature, thank you.
Let it stay. I like to watch the fire.
We remember when we were sleeping in his bed and Malbonte was like, I'm sleeping on the chair. He turned slowly to the right and watched the flames.
There was no light in Sifamalum's dungeon. And no fire either.
He must have felt so incredibly cold. He spoke without emotion, which made his words sound all the more terrible. Sometimes I dream about Sifamalum. The last time he told me not to bother you. He said you wanted to kill him. You decided to trust Malbonte? Yes! Malbonte's face contorted in anger. Yeah, because he's actually reaching out to us, isn't he? But he restrained himself and only muttered through his teeth.
Don't listen to him.
People, I'm feeling this thrill, this excitement, just to be around this man. That's love, bitch. That's love. Don't listen to him. Nah, sir, you want to kill him. It's fine.
But what does it all mean? Do you have a plan? I have a plan. And he has a plan, but we have different goals.
I used to think that you and Sifa Malam were on the same side. That was so long ago. Malbonte didn't answer, and then I said, you and Sifa Malam have an unusual bond. He chuckled, albeit bitterly, but agreed.
Yes.
Tell me about Sifa Malam's dungeon. Was he locked in Sifa Malam's dungeon? Malbonte was surprised by my request.
You don't want to know?
Yes, I do. If you were in there, I want to know.
Oh my god, 100...
I do want to know. I don't care for Malbonte. I will even pay 500 gems to understand. If you were in there, if you were locked in Sifa Malam's dungeon, I want to know what that dungeon looks like. I want to know what you went through in there to understand.
Understand what? How far I'm willing to go to kill Sifa Malam?
No, to understand you.
Or how deep my hatred runs. How deep the darkness inside of me is.
Why do you only see your darkness? That's what pains me. A lot of people just see this as self-awareness, like he's self-aware. He knows he has darkness and he knows that his darkness is deep. But that's not it. I can imagine him saying this as this bitterness, As in, it bothers him that he has that much darkness. Because that darkness reminds him of his times he spent in Sifa Malam's dungeon. The time he spent with Sifa Malam. All the time that he was separated from his angel side. What Sifa did to him. That dungeon connects so much with Malbonte's trauma. So many dots can be trailed back to Sifa Malam's dungeon and his time with Sifa Malam. He only sees the fact that we are like, oh yeah, you're a demon, you only use demon powers, so you have only darkness inside of you. The fact that he's talking like that just shows what a pure-hearted person he is. He's like, why do you want to know? Why do you want to know how deep my hatred is? This is him silently asking for help. Please help me get rid of this darkness. This darkness is too much. Now that you don't have the darkness anymore, all this darkness is inside of me again. And Sifa Malam is capable to reach me again. When you had a bit of my powers, the influence of him wasn't that powerful. So I wasn't that worried of him reaching out to me because he wasn't capable to. I was capable to control my powers. I didn't need any mentor to teach me how to deal with all of this darkness. I was fine. Now that the darkness is back inside of me, I can't control it all. So he is capable to reach out to me, and he's now even reaching out to you. His voice was calm, as always, but those questions made me think that I offended him. Period. I love this. He is so pure-hearted, but nobody sees it. So he expects people to just care about the fact that he is a demon. And they don't care about why he is a demon. Like they all know that he's both. He's a hybrid. He's an angel-demon hybrid. He doesn't only have demon qualities, he also has angel traits. But people only see his appearance, what he's done in the past, and they don't even care to look deeper into it. They don't care to find out why he's acting the way he's acting. And that hurts me. People, even in the real world, if people would look deeper into someone and try to understand where they're coming from, there would be so little problems in the world. People love to judge. People love to misunderstand people just to feel better about themselves. You can't, just because someone is born a demon or is acting more on his demon impulses, just point your finger at them. There is a reason why a person is acting the way they're acting. And Malbonte has his reasons. He hasn't really talked that much about what has happened to him, but I know that this is a self-mechanism. He expects everyone around him to just see him as a pure source of evil. So, as soon as someone doesn't see him like that, he feels vulnerable because he actually is a pure-hearted guy, but no one tries to see that inside of him. So, it's easier for him to hold on to his emptiness, this emptiness that the darkness created inside of him. And we want to know more. That makes him feel offended. If we are like, what happened in that dungeon? Why do you want to know that much about my darkness? Don't you see how vulnerable that time makes me? Just thinking about that time in Sifa Malam's dungeon makes him feel vulnerable. That says so much already. His voice was calm, as always, but those questions made me think that I offended him. He didn't want to talk about that part of him that spent several millennia near a monster. I decided that MALBONTE wasn't going to tell me, that he'd shut me out, so I didn't ask anything else. But suddenly I heard his voice, a quiet, cruel voice, pausing now and then as he watched the sparks in the fire. Oh no! I'm so sorry. That's why he loves to watch the fire, because it was very cold there. There were just souls in the dungeons, so there was no way to gain human contact, as in body temperature. So he had to learn fast, and now that he has the opportunity to feel warmth, he loves to watch the fire.
It's very cold there.
No.
Oh my god. I ended up there very young, having lost my memories. A lad from my previous life was pain that I couldn't understand, and sorrow, fear, and guilt that I couldn't shake off. After all, I didn't know the source of all those emotions. And so I opened my eyes, lost and frightened, and there was only darkness around.
Oh no. I'm so sorry. I'm suffering.
The teeth were chattering loudly from the cold, while I suddenly walked along the only marked path with my arms wrapped around me. I cried a lot. No! Those were the last tears of fear I shed in that place. The rest of tears came from hatred. Wow. Sifa Malam sat on the throne, waiting for his long-awaited guest. That's what he called me. I felt the immensity of his power and immediately realized that a god was before me. Wow.
He's anything but a god, sweetie. He's anything but a god.
Stupid boy that I was, I rushed to him in hope that he'd protect me, save me.
No! I'm so sorry. Not my baby. Not my soulmate going through this.
Where am I? Sifa Malam grinned, and at that moment I suddenly realized my life was over.
Wow. Nice one, though.
You're home, my boy. He descended from the platform, hooves clopping on the steps, then grabbed me by my clothes and lifted me to face level. My legs dangled trying to find support, and my hands clung to his rough skin.
Oh
no! I wanted to say I want to go to my mother, or I want to go home, but I didn't have either of those.
No! It's a good thing Sifa's dead, bitches. Good thing Sifa's dead. Sifa Malam is coming next.
I didn't know a home or a mother.
He didn't have one anymore. Sifa took them away and banished this poor baby to non-existence with his demon brother. Someone hold my rings.
There was only the bestial grin, the ooze and that ghostly pain with neither beginning nor end. Brother gave me a great gift. I'll take full advantage of it.
Oh
no! Let me go.
No! Look at this! Are we seeing this on the back?
Sifa grabbed my head with his other hand, raised me even higher, and began to squeeze my skull to the sounds of his own laughter and my howling. I lost consciousness or died. I don't know, because I died quite often, but to my horror, I was always resurrected. And when I woke up, I saw Sifa Malam looming over me. From his full height, he said menacingly, "Here's the first lesson, boy. Your creator knew what would happen to you when he sent you here, so he wanted this for you."
Oh
no! Why? Because you exist. You're a creature of darkness, my son. He's afraid of you. He sent a child into the womb of death and agony so that nothing could threaten their world. I don't believe you. Oh, no.
Sifa, I feel pain. I feel real pain. No one should have to go through something like this. Like, imagine you lost your memories. You don't know anything about anything. Your parents are dead, killed by your creator, and he knew that this was gonna happen to you, and he willingly did that. Like, Seifer had to die, bitches. Really now. No pure-blooded being could do something like this. I don't remember any creator, but some part of me objected to such a statement, as if the last particles of light couldn't accept that darkness. They'll take me away from here. They'll save me. Oh. I could still remember my voice breaking, the voice of a child unaware of what awaited him. The cry was so desperate but helpless. You and I have plenty of time, my boy. The moment will come and your hope will die, as everything dies in this place. Like your skull? And then he hit me in the face. His palm was harder than stone. That's a punishment for you screaming. I barely heard his words, dying once again. Sometimes I liked it when he was overly cruel to me, and my body had to collect itself piece by piece, and I spent long in a blissful void. But hours, days, and weeks would pass, and I woke up. At first I was afraid of Sif and Malum, but over the years the fear became duller and hatred took its place. It became so intrinsic to me that it was the only feeling I was capable of. It felt natural, almost akin to love. People like, are we even hearing this? He was abused that heavily. Sif Malum messed with his mind that intensely that Malbonte learned to love death. He learned to love to die. He learned to love cruelty. He learned to love pain, destruction, fear. That's why we saw him kill when he merged back with his angel side. And we can also understand now the hatred he had when someone would disagree with him. I mean, Sif Malum was like that. He trained him like this. After hundreds of years, Sif Malum almost stopped beating me once he saw that I no longer reacted to pain, no matter how hard he tried. And I kept waiting for the confinement to end one day. But as time passed, my body grew along with the part of me that was wandering free. There was nothing left of that boy. He died so many times that there was nothing left to salvage. One time I went to see Malum, kneeled down and said, "Wow, okay, alright. These wings are something, alright. People, I can't see Malbonte like this, like I have to look away from his face, I really do. I'm ready." It twitched almost imperceptibly and asked with poorly concealed impatience. "Ready for what, my boy?" I was sick of his smugness. I hated him for so long, so madly, and watched him with the same zeal that he watched me. I realized long ago that he needed me, that I was his only salvation. He wanted to release me like a dog from its chain, so I could tear apart the one responsible for imprisonment. But I hated the whole world and wanted to destroy everyone, including myself. Sif Malum would die with his brother. I'm ready to take revenge. Will you kill him? No, I will kill you. I'll incinerate the whole world. Women and children. I didn't even know what they looked like. Sorry. I am actually done. This is what Sif Malum did. And are we seeing how Malbonte is? Even if you are not on his good graces, he just shits on you with some attitude. But if we see this version of Malbonte and know what he went through, all this darkness, all this suffering that must turn him into someone insanely dark, just in order, that would be his self-defense mechanism kicking in. And that would be his mind trying to save himself from breaking. He would automatically turn numb. And that's what he is. He is numb. But all this darkness could never be extinguished with his angel side. Never ever. And if we see the darkness that he had to endure, then we can see what a good person he is. What a pure soul Malbonte actually is. Because with that much darkness inside of him, the darkness would have to be winning over his light.
There will be no one left. Sifa Malam burst out laughing. Babies in the womb of their angel mother, those are the purest. And they will choke on blood. And so will we together with them.
He was like, oh, don't worry, they will die, but you will die along with me.
Wonderful, my boy. I'll teach you. I will help.
You will do shit. The details of his story were saturated with the hopelessness of darkness. I felt sorry for the part of Malbonte that had lived for several thousand years without knowing the sun, warmth, or kind word. Your relationship with Malbonte improved significantly. You need to stop. You need to give me a picture of Malbonte and me hugging. I need to hug this man. When I spoke, my voice was hoarse and upset. I wanted to destroy the whole world. That's what you got from that?
A part of me wanted it, but I connected it with Bond and everything changed.
What was that like?
I was ready to forgive. He loved the whole world. He remained a child.
We're talking about him in the third person like it's not you.
That's right. It remained just a voice in my head, my conscience. But the pain that I experienced in that prison cannot be drowned out or melted away by love.
People, did I or did I not just say that? That's too much pain, too much suffering that he had to endure. No love will be capable to push all that darkness out. Tears welled up in my eyes.
I'm so sorry.
Me! I extended my hand to him, wanting to console him. I don't think that he will want that. He will see it as pity. Honestly, I see now why he keeps on hating on us when we show emotion. Because Sifa Malam was always against it. He's like, that's a sign of weakness if you care about someone. Don't care about someone. Because Sifa Malam literally must have told him that a million of times when he was like, I want to see my mother. Or I want to go home. And he was like, this is your home. Get used to it. Blah, blah, blah. I feel bad now. I extended my hand to him, wanting to console him and hug the boy who was hiding inside that big, strong adult body. But he caught my hand. Malbonte stared at me as if trying to prove the truth of his words with that look and said quite seriously, without any threat or exaggeration.
Simone, if I hadn't connected with Bond and had stepped out of that dungeon small, I would have spared anyone. I would have killed every child, every mortal and immortal. I wanted everyone to suffer as I suffered.
Oh, sir, how I feel you. Okay, I didn't want to kill anyone, yeah, but I was very sick. And the more you drown on your inner struggles and pain, the more you are like, you have like this thought in your head where you're like, why are they healthy and I'm not? Why are they happy and I'm not? What did they do that they can be happy, and what did I do to deserve this punishment? Why do they have it easier? So I literally was like, I'm sick, why isn't he? Like, I feel this sentence. My eyelashes trembled, a tear rolled down my cheek. I pushed away his hand that was still holding my wrist and touched his face. Me!
That's a good thing that didn't happen.
Malbonte nodded. You need time.
Possibly. I just got out. It's only been 10 years. Sometimes it took me that long to recover from Sifa Malam's beating.
Bitch!
The memories are too vivid.
No! People, I'm sad.
My bond with him is too strong.
But why? That's my question. Why is that bond so strong? Like, this is a connection we're talking about. This is not like, oh, I don't know, I love him and that's why we're connected, you know? This is a bond. He is capable to call him. He can call him in his mind and Malbonte hears him. What kind of bond is this? How can you break it? One of them has to die. And why didn't Sifa Malam get out with you? Was that his plan? Malbonte chuckled, watching the fire's glowing tendrils. The flames reflected in his black pupils, exposing what was inside him.
God knows how to wait. He's still waiting.
The conversation with Malbonte gave you strength, I would assume. Malbonte stood up. Where are you going?
I'll gather more firewood.
No, stay.
He disappeared into the forest. I looked at the fire, which clearly didn't need more fuel. Malbonte's escape, his desire to be alone, made me see him in a different light. You still need a different light. Why are you so stupid? Never mind. He wanted to escape the situation because he was tortured and tormented by Sifa Malum so many years that he had to learn to never ever show any emotion. Showing emotion is a sign of weakness and it would be punished. So, as soon as Malbonte feels vulnerable, because Malbonte is that pure-hearted, it brings back the memories of what Sifa Malum would do to him. So he's like, if another person can't see me breaking down, I'm not gonna get punishment. Like, in a certain sense, it is fear. He just didn't want to be emotional around anyone, because that would be like admitting that Sifa Malum's beatings and everything didn't really change him in the slightest. He still kept his pure heart. Sifa Malum wasn't capable to break that. He wasn't capable to turn him completely evil. He created for Malbonte some sort of self-defense mechanism. But I'm not saying that I'm grateful to Sifa Malum. I want him to die because what he put him through is insanely bad. He did not deserve that. And Malbonte literally rushing off, he was like trying to escape the situation. He saw us crying and we were emotional. And when you care about someone, you see them emotional, you feel bad, and the seriousness of the situation comes in. He doesn't want to show us that the situation with Sifa Malum tormented him that badly that it's still haunting him to this day. But I'm pretty sure he would have started crying, and he didn't want to. So he was like, I'm gonna gather more firewood so that he could be emotional somewhere where nobody can see him. For him, it's very difficult to show what he feels because of that torment he has because of Sifa Malum. He wasn't afraid that I'd fly away or run, and there was no point in either. I lay down on the ground trying to concentrate on the warmth of the fire. I thought about the war with Malbonte, about the order, about the peaceful times with Malbonte. So much has changed since then. I changed too. Malbonte returned, threw some branches at my feet and sat down beside me. We silently looked at the flames. Our shoulders touched and I felt warmth emanating from him. I felt safe and confident that Malbonte would protect me, no matter what happened. It was at that moment, at the second, that I knew that he wouldn't let anyone hurt me. Strong albeit with his own agenda, caring even if he seemed cold at first glance. I was so excited by his closeness that I began to tremble again. I felt his attentive gaze on me. Are you cold? No, I'm excited. It's something else. His velvety, quiet voice, still carrying those same steely notes, suddenly seemed magnetic and alluring like never before. Just a little. He extended his arm, offering to let me snuggle up to him. You never say no to that. What should I do? Now we have people. This is ridiculous. Cuddle up to him. I'm getting my money tomorrow or the day after that. I'm gonna pay. I moved closer, but still felt somewhat bewildered and embarrassed. The idea that the ice had melted between us was still new to me. Malbonte's chest slowly and steadily rose, then fell and rose again, counting off his breast like a well-oiled clock. Every cell of skin he touched responded with such sensitivity and warmth that I almost felt feverish. And instead of warming up and no longer shivering, I only trembled more in his arms. Malbonte didn't say anything, although he noticed my excitement. He squeezed my shoulder lightly and moved closer without taking his eyes off the fire. I raised my head and, plucking up my courage, said, "Kiss me." Period. Like, honestly now, you are together. You are both snuggling against each other. You already kissed. You already made it clear that you care about each other and that the thing between you guys is not friendship. Kiss. Malbonte looked into my eyes. For a fraction of a second, it seemed that he'd ignore me, or even worse, drop back with a wicked sneer. He remained silent, and that scenario became more and more real and inevitable. It doesn't matter, forget it. Kiss me! I'm so sorry. I'm not forgetting it. Are you for real? It's never capable to escape this man. Ever. First off. Second off, who would want to forget his touch? It was a whisper of despair, a final cry.
open up to him, let down my guard, and let myself naked and exposed before him. Is this a metaphor or a literal meaning? He could see everything, my longing, my addiction, my prayer. Without saying a word, he leaned over, pressed his lips to mine, and kissed me. His strong hand slid from my shoulders to my waist, squeezing my hips, and moved me closer. I felt his eyes on me as if he were asking, "Is that what you wanted? Do you actually have to ask?" I closed my eyes, afraid to meet his gaze. Like, if you see desire burning in my eyes, me pleading you to finally kiss me, you actually have to ask if that's what I want. Afraid to drown in the bottomless black pupils that remembered all the horrors of Sifo Malam's dungeon. I stroked his face, buried my fingers in his pitch-black hair, and fearfully waited for him to pull away. MALBONTE was restrained. I could feel his composure and control over the situation, but he was in no hurry to stop. Why? I whispered the question into his lips, but he didn't let me finish. His tongue took control of mine. You know, the hottest thing, I don't know about you guys, but that's the hottest thing in my eyes. The hottest thing, when someone that is completely controlled, he has control over every single emotion, is letting go just because of you. As in, you are the reason that a controlled man can't control himself anymore and is giving in to temptation, to desire. That's the biggest turn on for me, if you ask me. He crushed my lips with his, the blood rushing to them in response to the long-awaited caress. But then he pulled away, squeezing my chin between his thumb and forefinger, and said a little hoarsely,
"Because I'm tired, we might not get another night."
Are you kidding me? That's a lie. You wanted this. I'm sorry, but his face, like, I have to move on. Sorvoljava. I wanted to say something and open my mouth, but I only managed a ragged sigh. All the words swirling at the tip of my tongue immediately evaporated the moment he looked at my lips. And then his eyes slid lower over my heaving breasts and my nipples, which were hard from cold and desire. Nah, it's only desire, girl. Don't lie to yourself. MALBONTE swallowed and looked again at my face. Ah! So sorry. Peering into my eyes, he touched my breast and drew a semicircle outlining the areola. I'm not sure if I said it correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. He studied my reaction and smiled when he heard me sigh through my clenched teeth. He gets turned on knowing that we get turned on by him. That's love right there. That's love. When you get turned on by the fact that your touch is capable to make your partner moan. He took his hand away and I unconsciously leaned forward and arched my back, secretly wanting him to continue. Then MALBONTE, slowly, still exploring, drew a path with his finger down to my stomach. Ooh! If they don't give me a beautiful picture, I swear to God.
Spread your legs.
His whisper made me tremble again, and I closed my eyes so as not to see that burning, predatory gaze. I pursed my lips, holding back the heaviness of my breath, with the last of my strength, and obediently spread my knees. I felt his finger between my legs. At first, he just pressed lightly, pulling a soft, shy moan from my lips.
Look at me.
He is getting turned on by that fact, people. And how did he manage to run away from the school without anyone noticing? Wasn't he always on such a tight leash? It wasn't an order, but a request. And yet he was certain that it'd be fulfilled. And I looked. MALBONTE pressed again, and hearing a louder groan, this time began to move his finger in a semicircle, rubbing rhythmically and quickly. With each movement, the ball of fire in my lower abdomen burned more and more until it became so unbearable that I made a plaintive, impatient sound and pulled MALBONTE closer. We started kissing again, only briefly coming up for air. We undressed each other as we went, throwing off our clothes, not caring if they landed on the fire. Yeah, when we arrived naked at the campground, you all know why. MALBONTE laid me on the ground, holding the back of my head so that I wouldn't hit it. He was shaking from how desperately he held back the passion and the scorching fire inside him, capable of destroying and crushing anyone who was nearby. He ran his hand along my body, pressing his palm firmly against me. Heat emanated from it, and it warmed my already overheated body. MALBONTE kissed my neck, then bit it almost to the point of pain, and again caressed it with his lips and tongue. I wanted to cry from the emptiness, from the fact that he was delaying the moment. I love the hair. Please, MALBONTE. Oh my god! This is gonna be censored.
Stop begging like that. I won't be able to stop.
Well, you're not supposed to stop. Or whispers merge together. That's a picture, people. Please don't. that face. Alright. Please don't torture me. I pressed against his hard cock and began to rub against it, biting MALBONTE's chin, enjoying his rough touches.
Stop it.
No. His hoarse command sounded almost bestial, rough, domineering, unbearably sexy. But I didn't listen. I continued to rub against him, shuddering with every touch. MALBONTE clung to my ear and whispered in a strangled voice.
I will do as you wish. Just be patient.
Okay? His breath tickling my neck, the smell of his body, and the touch of his chiseled abs made it hard for me to understand what he was saying.
Okay.
Yes. I didn't understand what question I was answering, but whatever it was, all I could answer was yes, yes, and yes. He spread my legs a little wider and slowly inserted his fingers. I opened my eyes, meeting his excited and attentive gaze, and grabbed his forearm, unsure whether my plea was for him to stop or keep going.
Should we continue?
Yes. What kind of question is that? He inserted the second finger, waited a few seconds, and then pulled them out. But I didn't have time to object as he plunged them inside me again suddenly and deeply. Everything was hot, flowing and pulsing there, my response to his caresses so obedient and shameless that I felt embarrassed. But the moment I felt quiet, MALBONTE would increase the pressure, not allowing me to hold back. He wants to hear it. Like I said, he gets turned on by the fact that we want him. I was ready to cry if that was what it took to make him enter me. Please, MALBONTE. We're gonna beg in every single language we know, people. That. He suddenly groaned, pulled out his fingers and pressed his whole body to mine, entered me with his full length. Oh my god, and it's my hair. It's the hair I decided to buy.
No, I'm sorry. I'm dead.
I cried out briefly from the unbearably bittersweet languor. Barely aware of what I was doing, I found MALBONTE's lips, and moaning from his thrusts, responded to his greedy, hungry kisses. He drove into me hard and fast, not letting me catch my breath. When I was on the verge, MALBONTE teasingly slowed down. He was still moving with sharp thrust, but each time he changed the angle, creating circular movements that made me scream and dig my nails into his bag. MALBONTE, I can't take it anymore. Do you want me to stop? What kind of question is that? No! What kind of question is that?
Do you want me to stop?
No! He laughed quietly, a laughter I had never heard before. You're supposed to stay where you are. And again he whispered right above my ear.
Lift your hips.
Like a submissive lamb, I was ready to do whatever he asked. Whatever he told me, so long he wouldn't leave me burning up in the flame that he kindled. He started to move faster again, bringing me to the limit and tormenting me with caresses on my chest, stomach, and lips. I mean, he knows. He knows what to do. He knows how to do it. It felt so good that I couldn't scream anymore. I surrendered entirely to that bliss, that sweet torture of obeying him, of giving in to him, and of taking everything he had to offer and more. His fingers squeezed my thighs, leaving marks that would later become bruises. I wanted him to squeeze harder, said that he would never let go, even after the peak came and everything flared like a firework before fading away. I suddenly realized why he was taking so long, why he was tormenting me and delaying the final. He didn't want to leave! It would be the last time. I didn't want to rush anymore. I didn't want it to end as soon as it started. But the scream was already in my throat. I arched, allowing him to go even deeper. His hot tongue touched a hollow between my breasts demandingly. He whispered,
Come on, you can do it.
No, I can't. I can't do anything. He wants us to climax, but I don't wanna. That means that it's almost over. I clung to him, took his head in my hands and kissed him. Malbonte reciprocated just as ardently, greedily, not hiding the pleasure that I gave him. I couldn't believe that he could be so open, so eager and generous to the point of affection. I moaned into his lips, no longer fearing his black eyes. And when the fireworks did erupt, sending a tremor through my whole body, I didn't look away. I can't with that face. Malbonte grasped the hair at the back of my head, tilting my head back and exposing my neck for kisses. He began to move faster, then suddenly froze, shuddering, gripping the skin over my collarbone with his teeth. I responded with the same tremor. My fingertips touched the swollen scratches my nails left on him, but they disappeared like a mirage. Could Malbonte erase this night just as easily as he erased the imprints of my passion? Would he want to? He got up, relieving me of the weight of his body, and looked into my eyes. A drop of sweat ran down his chest and fell on my stomach. That small detail seemed even more intimate than what had happened a couple of minutes ago. We were so close. Was it really over? Ooh, he can read our minds. I mean, he can read our minds. Some parts are closed, but he can still read our minds.
I hope not.
You read my mind again. Malbonte will never forget this night, thank you.
Your eyes speak for themselves.
I mean... He kissed my forehead and sat down on the ground to get dressed. I looked at the sky broken up by the tree branches. The island is moving so fast.
It's better not to fly now. It's harder to make out the route in the dark.
He thoughtfully stirred the fire with his hand, ignoring the burns. They immediately disappeared as soon as he took his fingers out of the fire. Will the horseman notice that you're gone?
No.
How can Plague trust you after you tricked her, after saving Mammon?
I didn't save him, and she never trusted me.
I don't understand. She's even crazier than I thought.
She's sure of her victory, and she understands that I'll help them do what they've planned. Nothing else matters.
I pursed my lips, holding back the impulse to once again ask why he was doing it. I could only hope that he'd change his mind at the last moment, or that he had his own cunning plan that would save us all in the end. Are you going to stay here? He can't, can he?
I'll fly away when the fire burns out.
I nodded, but nodded with annoyance that I was upset. I don't want to say goodbye. Malbonte understood and cautiously said,
I can't, then they would notice for sure.
I understand, it's fine. He smoothed my disheveled hair and warmed my body with his touch yet again.
Rest.
I put my hand under my head and lay down looking at the writhing flames. The crackle of burning wood, the rustle of leaves, and the quiet howl of the wind soon calmed my anxiously beating heart. But before falling asleep I thought of only one thing. If only the fire would burn until morning. Oh yeah. When I woke up, Malbonte was gone. My body longed for his caress. Me! It seemed strange to still feel his presence, to still smell his scent, but to know that he was already far away, and to know when we'd see each other again. I jumped up, firmly promising myself I wouldn't think about Malbonte, otherwise I'll go crazy. Too late. This man has a hold over us, and yet I hope that my scent also rubbed off on him, that it reminded him of those moments I could never forget. The fire burned out, and the sun had risen long ago. The birds chirped, hiding among the leaves. The air smelled of morning freshness, and the peace of the forest gently emphasized the loneliness of any wanderer who found themselves on the island. I thought about what had happened and restlessly looked up at the sky. I needed to tell the order about the fourth horseman. I looked at the ashes left from the logs and sadly stepped over them once again, trying to convince myself not to think about Malbonte. We didn't say goodbye forever. I spread my wings fully and rushed headlong into the sky. The guards reported my approach. Did we really have to come here? Really? We had a much more beautiful time with Malbonte. Let's be real here. Alice did not have to make us come back here. When I landed, Addie, Sammy, and Mimi were already running towards me. They are the only people that I'm happy to see. They are the only three that are worthwhile. I can't. And Dino, I forgot that he's there. I'm still not over that scene. I was in complete shock. I couldn't scream. I couldn't do anything but laugh nervously. I was done with life. I barely had time to fold my wings as they pounced, squeezing me in their arms. I loved them with a passion. Even though I knew you were fine, I'm exhausted.
She was worried about having to sleep next to Rudy, that crybaby.
Shut up. I love them so much. Oh, Sammy.
But she does cry all the time.
Oh, it's good that I spared you that fate, Mimi. Sammy squeezed my shoulders reassuringly.
Thanks, Aoife, you're here.
Sammy! People, I have a soft spot for Sammy. He did not have to die back then. They did not have to make him collateral damage. I was introduced to my soulmate by sacrificing and losing someone I love. I don't know if I think that's fair or not. It's not okay. No, it's not fair. Like, I wouldn't change a thing because we were united with our sweetheart Sammy. But it could have been another angel. Let's be real. There were so many angels. Fencio did not have to go at Sammy. Like, this was just a homophobic gesture. Because Sammy and Addie were not really silent about their relationship and he wasn't having it, so he was like, I'm taking Sammy out. There were so many angels. He did not have to go for Sammy. That was a homophobe move. I'm saying Fencio is a homophobe.
But how did you get out?
Yeah. Simona. I did not have to see her. People like, I'm not having her. I really am not having her. Like, she's a fake-ass bitch. She has never acted like our mother. I heard from a friend of mine, and in the comments below as well, in a lot of my videos, that she is not having our relationship with Malbonte if we end it with Malbonte. A mother is supposed to love her child unconditionally. The fact that she's making her daughter feel bad for falling in love is already a reason for me to hate her. First, you don't choose who you fall for. Second, if I fall in love with someone, you should trust my judgment. If I think he's worth the love I give him, then it's like that. I don't judge why Vincenzo fell in love with you, do I? Even though, let's be real here, why did he fall in love with her? She's horrible. Aragon and my mother came out in the yard. Apparently, they'd only just heard the news of my return. Mom rushed across the yard to me. She can't stay in the back. People like, I'm feeling so horrible considering the fact that my mother, as in real life, my mother, she's my closest family member. And me shitting on my virtual mom is making me feel kind of bad. But Rebecca deserves this. She's not our mother. She hugged me tightly and whispered, no. 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 I'm sorry, I'm not feeling her pain at all. Leave, Rebecca. Leave. You're putting shame on the name Rebecca because we know the iconic Rebecca from the originals and the Vampire Diaries. You're putting shame to the name.
You're back.
I am. Her hands were trembling. Is everything okay? She pulled away. Emotions transformed her face, making her features softer but aging her a little at the same time. However, it all vanished in the blink of an eye. Mom wiped away her unshed tears in unexpected excitement and looked at me with cold restraint as someone would look at a passersby.
The husband of death has arrived. He's dangerous. His mere presence threatens the lives of half the academy.
She spoke with such detachment as if she were talking to herself. So you know. Mom squeezed my hand and nodded toward Aragon, who was watching us with a barely perceptible smile.
Let's go. Tell us everything. Simona, come to the common room afterward, okay?
Addie. I have a soft spot for these three. I'm sorry. No one touch Addie, Sammy, and Mimi. I have a soft spot for these three. No one touch my children. I managed an uncertain nod as my mother pulled me along. She did not have to do that. I left Aragon's study a few hours later. Mom asked questions while Aragon listened silently and only occasionally frowned or nodded. My mom's piercing, distrustful look made me feel like I was being interrogated. You are being interrogated. But the memory of her tenderness, her embrace, and her raised, tense eyebrows was still vivid. Our character is weak. Weak. She does not learn. She really does not. Just because someone is showing you a bit of affection does not mean that they are sincere. She has been playing us for so long. She has been using our knowledge to her advantage, and when she didn't need us, she tried to dispose of us. She never actually cared, or else she would have acted completely different. You don't blame your child, or you don't move your child as a chess piece. When she knew that we could be the reason for war's demise, she was like, do it. As in literally, she did not care that we could be in trouble or in danger. She did not care. Why is our character not getting that? What is wrong with our MC? People don't change. Motherhood didn't change her. Nothing can. Why was she so flustered? And suddenly I felt sorry that her worrying surprised me. When I mentioned Fenzio, my voice was so calm that it bordered on contempt and cruelty. I wasn't worried about his fate, especially considering the mortal dangers facing those who were much dearer to me. Mom nervously shifted and turned her head a little sharply towards the window, but said nothing. Arrogant assured me that they'd settle that issue, but even though he was looking at me as he said it, his promise was meant for Mom. Before leaving, he added that we needed to resume training. I didn't argue with him despite the inner emptiness that gripped me after my encounter with death. Could anyone deal with that kind of power? He can, apparently. They picture him as calm and collected, but I'm pretty sure that death is impulsive because people don't get mad or joke around the fact that someone didn't cause enough destruction for them. You normally don't do that. He was like, I have to take care of that issue. I have to relieve you of killing the human species, and I will do it myself. So that means he's actually willing to kill everyone, but I don't think he's gonna do it in a calm way. He kind of reminds me of war and hunger mixed together. He shows that boredom, that I don't care attitude, and he's just standing there knowing, fully aware how powerful he is, but he also has that war tendencies. He is insanely muscular. He has that powerful aura. Everyone that is around him feels death upon their door. That's insane power. And depending on his mood, he's either gonna succumb to those emotions and kill everyone around him or not. So he's literally giving me war and hunger vibes. The conversation was over, but I replayed the details over and over again in my head as if there were some elusive mystery to all those events. I hesitated at the door before entering the common room for the guys who were waiting for me. With them, I could unwind and distract myself, but what if even that didn't help? We lost our soulmate, it's not gonna help. I don't want to spoil their mood or make them afraid of the future. I don't want to spend time with them. I won't upset them. I don't want to spend time with them. What'll I? I won't go in. I won't upset them. And that's why my fingers, trembling with tension, froze near the handle without touching it. I left. Surely they were waiting for me, but my friends would also understand everything. Like a ghostly, inconspicuous figure, I walked along the hallway, trying not to run into anyone. There was no one in the room, and I just fell on the bed, buried my face in the pillow, and began to think about how to live on when death was breathing down my back. Anxiety bubbled in my chest. Obsessive thoughts scratched at the inside of my skull and ate away all hope. A trumpet blared outside, warning of danger. I ran out to see to make sure that everything wasn't so bad. A white form, which I didn't notice in time due to fear, rushed out from around the corner. I collided and staggered back in an attempt to keep my balance. Instinctively, I reached out and kept the person I collided with from falling. Miss Alina? What's going on? She was trembling all over. She was pale and frightened, and her eyes diligently avoided meeting mine. Don't tell me it's the horseman. Go to your room, I'll go check everything out. She didn't seem to hear me. I felt an irrational sense of guilt for daring to ask her about it, for reminding her of the danger. She was so frightened and distracted. I looked anxiously past her, as if expecting to see the horseman at the end of the hallway. I have to go. She took a few steps, then turned around and said, They're outside. Thank you. I squeezed her hand, looking into her eyes sympathetically. We'll manage, Miss Elena. Whatever happens, we'll handle it. She smiled and barely nodded. Yes, Simona. Who's outside? The horseman? I squeezed her hand again and then ran away. The alarm continued to roar like a cry of grief for the dead. Dozens of immortals floated in the sky like black dots. Mom, Aragon, Winchester, and everyone else looked up with tense faces but stood motionless, waiting. That meant that the horsemen hadn't found us, as I assumed. The members of the Order knew those immortals, but their arrival meant something terrible. I stopped next to Dino. I was embarrassed in front of him. I didn't tell him about Fenzio and had avoided him, not having the strength to look into his eyes and keep silent about the threat looming over his father. Exhausted, one of the immortals fell, his wings collapsing in an instant. Hitting the ground, he continued to roll forward, his body leaving a trail of dust behind it. Aragon bent over him. What happened? The immortals held out his hand, silently asking him to bend down. Then he whispered something to Aragon, who jerked back sharply, his face suddenly becoming cruel and collected. That frightening look was tantamount to tears or a scream. Death. Aragon nodded. He has slain many on earth and in heaven. He seems to want genocide. That's not all. Speak, don't hesitate. Everyone was so tense, their nerves at the breaking point. I mentally prepared, but I didn't know to whom or what, nor what I was asking for or afraid of. I just prayed without a purpose or a recipient, hoping to hear something less frightening than it could be. Does it ever relate that the horsemen have learned about one of our bunkers? We need to protect them. We're not ready to fight. Not now. No. But we'll go anyway. It was meant as a question, but it sounded like a dissatisfied statement. Aragon was silent as he pondered. Path of composure. We can't help them. Everyone turned to my voice. We don't know that for sure. No, we do. I've seen death. If he has already been to the bunker, they're all dead. And if he hasn't, and we stand up to defend them, we'll only add to the number of corpses. What do you suggest? Do nothing? I nodded. Yes, this is exactly what I propose. Wow. Okay. I honestly wouldn't know what to say. I don't think it's okay to promise someone that they will stay alive, even though these are bad times. But you are still promising someone that you will protect them and that they will stay alive after the end. And then you allow your worst enemy, your worst fear, to destroy them all. I don't think I could live with that. But in general, do you think that it would work if they would come there? They have all seen his power. He killed unclaimed with a wave of his hand. He has that power. I don't think he would hold back. I don't think that he cares that much about opening the book, as in the seal. So he wouldn't care if we were going to die and the book would remain closed. Mayaman shook his wings as if trying to shake off the aftertaste of my words. I don't care. I'll still go there. No. We can't leave them, otherwise what's the point? She's right. When Mother spoke, the voices fell silent again. It's suicide to go there again. He was the only one who could decide what we'd do next. Aragon looked at me, was silent for a while and said, Fine. This is soulless. Your angels are callous, cold-blooded at that. It's not up for discussion. We will wait. I mean, it depends. Is death actually there? Then it would be suicide if you go there. But if he's not there, they could find a way to arrive there before death, and they would be capable to save them. Aragon strode past us. He hurried to disappear as if waiting to leave behind the regret he felt from his decision. He doesn't want to leave them there, but he also knows that his hands are tied. That's a very difficult situation here. This is literally, you're not deciding if you should wear rings or earrings. You're deciding over, I'm pretty sure, hundreds of lives. Like, that's a horrible situation. I don't know if I could decide something like this. I was experiencing the same thing. I wanted to wash off the phantom blood of those immortals. Mom put her hand on my shoulder. I know it was hard for you to say that. Conscience and war. It's a mistake. Yeah, but time will pass and it will disappear. So will the lives of many immortals. I slowly looked at her. Like yours did. Mom's eyelashes trembled, but she only answered, yes, like mine. One day later, the door swung open. Mimi froze on the threshold, tears in her eyes. I got out of bed and silently stared at her. Mama left. Did the messenger arrive? Mimi nodded. They're all dead, Simona. He killed everyone. Yeah, I cannot with death. He just said I'm gonna kill someone. I cannot. I would assume that after death left, they waited a few hours and then someone was sent to look for the angels and demons in that hideout and brought back information. That's horrible. I feel bad. And I'm actually petrified for them. Because if death can kill someone just by waving his hand, imagine what he's gonna do to us if we get on his nerves. I'm just saying. He does not seem like a love interest, and honestly, I don't think I would want him as a love interest. This guy is creepy. It's a mixture of fright, where you get startled when you see someone, and disgust. The MALBONTE scene was hot. I'm pretty sure you all agree. That was it for today. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye.